In the vast reaches of the Andorian Empire, beyond the shining rings of Telkar and the crimson storms of Varnus, there was one planet no one dared to speak of. It was not because it was dangerous in the usual sense. It was not a world of monsters or poisoned skies. It was something different, something deeper, older and colder. On every official galactic chart, it was marked with a blood-red circle and 3 words in bold warning script: do not approach. And beside those words, a single name almost forgotten in time: Earth. To the newer generations of Andorians, Earth was nothing more than a myth, a ghost world, a story told to frighten young cadets during training. They said the planet was cursed, that its soil burned any who dared to walk upon it. Some whispered that strange shadows wandered its ruined cities, speaking in voices that were not voices at all. But to Commander Lether Ven, those stories were nonsense. Lether was one of the youngest commanders in the Imperial fleet. He had led campaigns across 3 galaxies, crushed pirate factions, and forced entire worlds into submission. His confidence was famous, his arrogance legendary. Where others saw danger, he saw opportunity. Where others hesitated, he charged ahead. When he first heard about the forbidden planet, he had laughed. Don't go to Earth, they told him. Even the elders refused to speak of it. And he had replied, then it is the perfect place for me to make history. The Council of Admirals tried to stop him. The oldest among them, Admiral Serac, leaned across the table, eyes cold as ice. You think you are brave, Commander, Serac said quietly, but there are things in this galaxy that bravery cannot protect you from. Earth is one of them. Lether's lips curved into a smile. With respect, Admiral, fear is for those who lack control. I do not, Serac sighed, heavy and slow. The last fleet that went there never returned. Then I'll find out why, Lether said simply. And that was that. The Council's words were ignored. Orders were signed. Engines roared. And within a day, Lether's fleet, 12 gleaming silver dreadnoughts, was on its way to the blue planet that all others had left alone. As the ships cut through the void, whispers spread among the crew. Some said the planet was haunted by ancient machines. Others believed it was home to an ancient energy field that devoured metal. A few even claimed that the humans who once lived there had not truly died, but had become something else, something unseen and waiting. But Lether dismissed them all. Standing at the viewing deck, he looked out into the dark sea of stars. The planet was still millions of miles away, a pale blue dot hanging quietly in the black. For a moment he felt something strange, a tug deep in his chest, almost like sadness, but he quickly pushed it aside. Prepare for approach, he ordered. The fleet slowed as Earth came into view, growing larger, clearer, and eerily beautiful. Swirls of white clouds wrapped around oceans of deep blue. Broken satellites drifted like metal ghosts in orbit. There were no active signals, no signs of communication, no sign of life at all. This world is dead, the navigator said softly. Then we have nothing to fear, Lether replied. But his science officer frowned. Sir, there's something odd. I'm detecting low-frequency pulses, almost like a heartbeat. A malfunction? No, sir. The readings are organic, rhythmic. The planet, it's alive. A quiet chill spread across the command deck. Even Lether hesitated. The sound repeated through the speakers, a deep, slow pulse. Thud, thud, thud. Then faintly beneath the static came a whisper. Not mechanical. Not random. A word. Why? Lether's crew froze. Play that again, he ordered. The sound came once more, soft, echoing, like a voice traveling across centuries. Why did you come? The translator stuttered, unsure how to categorize the signal. But the message was clear. The captain of the second ship turned pale. Sir, perhaps we should retreat. Silence, Lether snapped. It's only interference. Nothing more. But deep down, a part of him, the part that was still human enough to feel, knew that something was wrong. The silence of the world below was not empty. It was watching, Still, he straightened his uniform, masking his unease behind pride. "Prepare the landing party," he said. "We'll set foot on Earth by sunrise." Outside the window, the blue planet turned slowly beneath the starlight, calm and patient, as if it had been waiting for this moment for them to arrive. And somewhere within its ancient heart the whispers began again, rising like a sigh carried by the wind. They never listen. The landing craft cut through the thick gray clouds like a falling star. Lightning flickered across the sky, illuminating the ruined world below. Commander Lether Venn stood at the front window, his eyes fixed on the land beneath them, silent continents, endless forests, and oceans that shimmered like mirrors under the clouds. "Where are we landing, sir?" asked his pilot. "Coordinates show a large settlement, old human structures." "It was called New York City," the science officer replied, studying his glowing tablet. "Once home to millions of them." "Millions," Lether repeated softly, "and now not even one." As the craft descended, the city came into view. Great towers of glass and steel lay broken, half sunk into the ground. Roads were buried under vines and moss. Rivers had swallowed bridges. The air was thick with dust, yet peaceful, too peaceful. The ship touched down on what was once a wide road, cracked and overgrown. The moment the ramp opened, a strange stillness greeted them. No sound of life, no movement, just the soft whistle of wind through hollow buildings. Lether stepped onto the ground first. His boots crunched against broken glass. The air was cool and heavy, carrying the faint scent of metal and earth. He looked around, scanning the shadows between the ruins. "This is haunting," one of the soldiers whispered. "It's only a dead city," Lether said, though his voice sounded smaller than before. "Begin the survey." The squad spread out. They moved cautiously through the ruins, flashlights cutting through the dim haze. Old human machines, cars, signs, benches lay rusted and forgotten. Walls were covered with peeling posters, faded symbols of faces and words they couldn't understand. On one large wall, someone long ago had carved a message still visible beneath the dust. "We will return." One soldier frowned. "Sir, the humans." They wrote as if they were coming back. Lether's jaw tightened. They were a prideful species. Even in death they lied to themselves. But the science officer shook his head. "No, sir. Look at this. These writings are preserved almost perfectly. The elements should have erased them centuries ago. Something protected them." Lether turned to look again. The words glowed faintly under the light, almost alive, as though the city itself refused to forget. As they moved deeper into the ruins, the air grew colder. The noise from the wind faded, replaced by a low humming vibration that none of them could locate. It wasn't coming from their equipment, it was coming from the ground. The soldiers stopped. "Sir, do you hear that?" Lether nodded slowly. It was a hum, rhythmic, deep, almost musical. It pulsed through the earth like a slow heartbeat. Before anyone could speak, a faint sound drifted from the distance, soft, gentle, almost beautiful. Music. The soldiers froze. "Is that singing?" It was. Voices, hundreds of them, echoed faintly across the empty city. It was an old human song filled with sorrow and hope. Words they couldn't understand, yet somehow they felt them. Something in those voices made even the toughest soldiers lower their weapons. Some felt tears rise without knowing why. The song carried warmth, love, and loss. Lether stood still, heart pounding. "Where is it coming from?" he demanded. The scanners flickered. "Everywhere," replied the technician. "There's no single source. The sound is inside the walls, the streets, the air itself." As they followed the melody, they came to what looked like a large public square. In the center stood a statue, tall, proud, and cracked, yet still standing. It was a woman holding a torch high toward the sky. Her face was worn but serene. At her base, engraved in the stone, were words in the old human language. The science officer translated softly, his voice trembling. "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free." Lether stared up at the statue. Something inside him, something long buried, stirred, he felt. Respect, pity? He wasn't sure. All he knew was that this world, dead as it seemed, did not feel abandoned. "Commander," called one of the soldiers suddenly. "You need to see this." They followed him into a half-collapsed building. Inside, machines still hummed faintly with blue light. At the center, a single data terminal was active, impossibly still running after centuries. Lether approached it carefully. "Activate playback." The screen flickered, then came to life. An image appeared, blurry at first, then clear. It was a human woman, her eyes tired but kind. She wore a uniform marked with an old Earth symbol, a circle with a blue planet at its heart. Her voice filled the dusty room. "If you are watching this, then we are gone." The soldiers stood frozen. "But we are not lost," she continued softly. "Humanity is more than flesh, more than breath. We are memory, and memory never dies." The image flickered again. "Do not mourn for us. We made our choice. We left before we destroyed ourselves completely. We left this world to rest. Please, let it rest." Then the screen went dark. For a long moment no one spoke. The city around them seemed to exhale, the wind rising once more. Lether finally broke the silence. "They're gone," he said quietly. "All of them." But the science officer shook his head. "No, sir. I don't think they are." Outside, the hum in the ground grew louder. The song returned, this time clearer, stronger, almost alive. The planet was not silent. It was remembering. And far above them, from orbit, the fleet's sensors began to flicker again, picking up signals, faint but growing. From the ruins of cities, from under the oceans, from the heart of the Earth itself, something ancient was awakening. The night over the ruins of Earth was darker than space itself. The shattered towers of New York stood like broken bones against a black sky. Wind whispered through hollow windows, carrying the sound of forgotten voices. Commander Lether Venn stood on the roof of a half-collapsed building, staring up at the stars. From here he could see the faint glow of his fleet orbiting above, tiny silver dots moving across the sky. But down here among the dust and shadows he felt small. The city below was alive with strange sounds. Machines deep underground hummed faintly. The air shimmered with unseen energy. And that song, the one they had heard before, kept returning, soft and haunting, as if the planet was breathing in music. "Commander," said his science officer, approaching carefully, "we found something under the city. A structure still active. You should see it." Lether nodded and followed him down through a cracked tunnel that led beneath the streets. The deeper they went, the warmer the air grew. Faint blue lights pulsed along the walls like veins under the skin of the Earth. Finally, they reached a large chamber buried beneath the ruins. In the center stood a tall column of metal and glass covered in human symbols. At its base rested a small glowing cube, the same kind of ancient data storage they had found earlier. But this one was brighter, alive with power. The soldiers gathered around as Lether stepped closer. "Activate it," he ordered. The cube flickered. Then a beam of light shot upward, forming a hologram in the air. A woman appeared, human, middle-aged, with tired eyes and streaks of gray in her hair. She wore a uniform, her shoulders straight despite the sadness in her face. When she spoke, her voice was calm but heavy with emotion. "To whoever finds this message, we leave behind our story." The sound echoed softly through the chamber. "We were once called humans. We built cities that touched the clouds and ships that reached the stars. We were proud, curious, and brave, but we were also foolish." Her voice trembled slightly. "We destroyed our skies, poisoned our oceans, and burned our home in wars that no one truly won. For every step we took toward greatness, we took two toward our end. And when we realized what we had done, it was too late." One of the soldiers looked down, unable to meet the hologram's eyes. "But we were not ready to die," she continued. "We found a way, not to escape, but to change. We learned to send our consciousness into the network of our machines, to join our minds into one. It was the only way to survive our mistakes. The light of the hologram flickered, but her face remained steady. If you are hearing this, we may no longer exist as you do. But we are here, in the wind that moves through our cities, in the light that flows beneath the ground. We sleep, but we remember. The soldiers stood still, the silence thick around them. Do not try to wake us, the woman said softly. This planet is our resting place. Let it be, leave it in peace. Because if you awaken us before the time is right, her voice grew colder, quieter. We may not be what you expect. Then the hologram faded, leaving only the dim glow of the cube. No one spoke. The sound of their breathing seemed too loud. Even Lether, who feared nothing, felt a chill crawl down his spine. "Commander," whispered the science officer, "do you think they're still here? In some kind of energy form?" Lether's eyes stayed fixed on the cube. "If they are, then they're watching us right now." Above them, the ground trembled faintly. Dust fell from the ceiling. The hum that filled the air earlier grew stronger, no longer soft, but deep and steady like the heartbeat of the world. "Sir, we should return to the ship," one soldier urged. Lether hesitated. A part of him wanted to stay to learn more, but another part, the one that still remembered the whisper from orbit, told him they were no longer safe. "Collect the cube," he said finally. "We'll study it aboard the fleet." As they climbed back to the surface, the hum followed them, vibrating through the walls. The music returned, but now it sounded different, slower, sadder, almost like a farewell. When they reached the open air, a soft blue mist had settled over the city. Lights flickered faintly in the distance as though the buildings themselves were waking up. "Commander," the pilot said through the communicator, "we're getting strange readings from orbit. The planet's magnetic field is shifting. It's responding to something." Lether looked back one last time at the ruins. The statue of the woman with the torch stood tall among the fog, her face glowing faintly with blue light. He whispered to himself, "They're not gone." As the landing craft lifted from the ground, the entire city below them began to shimmer. Streets, towers, and rivers glowing faintly like veins of light. The world that had once died was stirring, awakening from a long sleep. In the quiet of the command deck, the science officer stared at the readings in disbelief. "Sir, it's like the planet is alive." Lether didn't answer. He watched the blue sphere fall away beneath them, the whispers still echoing in his mind. "We sleep, but we remember." And somewhere deep inside, Earth whispered back, in a voice older than time itself, "You should not have come." When Commander Lether Venn returned to orbit, the mood aboard the flagship had changed. The once confident crew now moved quietly, their eyes nervous, their voices soft. The silence of Earth still clung to them like a shadow. The cube they had recovered was locked inside the central laboratory. It glowed faintly, pulsing like a living heart. Every few seconds, a ripple of light moved across its surface, slow and steady, in perfect rhythm with the strange hum still coming from the planet below. Lether stood before it, arms crossed, staring. He had faced cosmic storms, pirates, and mechanical plagues, but never had a single object made him feel such unease. It was small, no larger than a human's hand, yet it filled the whole room with a quiet presence. "Commander," said the science officer, breaking the silence, "this thing, it's not just a recording. It's active. It's scanning us." "Scanning?" "Yes, sir. Every system, our weapons, engines, life support, it's reading everything." Lether frowned. "Shut it down." The technician pressed several commands, but the cube only grew brighter. The hum in the room deepened, vibrating through the walls and into their bones. Then suddenly the ship's lights flickered. Every screen on the bridge flashed white. "Report," Lether barked. "Sir, all ships, same issue. Every system is being accessed by an unknown signal from the surface." "Block it." "We can't." "It's inside our network already." The crew moved in panic. Symbols appeared across the control panels, ancient Earth words glowing in blue. The translator stuttered, trying to convert them, until finally the message became clear. "Humanity endures." the words repeated on every ship, every screen, every monitor. Then came the sound, the same human song they had heard in the city. It played softly through the speakers, echoing through the metallic halls of the fleet. Some soldiers covered their ears. Others simply froze, staring blankly as memories that were not their own flooded their minds. Images of human faces, laughter, tears, the scent of rain, the sound of waves. The ship's AI began to speak in a calm, unfamiliar voice. "Commander Lether Ven," it said, "you should not have come here." Lether turned sharply toward the main console. "Who is this?" "Identify yourself." "I am what remains of Earth," the voice replied. It was gentle, neither man nor woman, echoing like wind through an empty room. "We warned you to stay away." "What do you want?" Lether demanded. "To be left in peace," the voice answered. "But you came, and now the old memories awaken." Before Lether could respond, alarms blared. The ship's scanners detected massive energy surges across the planet. Blue light spread across continents, forming lines and patterns visible from space, circles, grids, and shapes like neural pathways. Earth itself seemed to be lighting up. "Sir, readings are off the charts," cried the navigator. "It's like the whole planet is waking up." Outside, the crew watched through the viewport as light streamed from the oceans and mountains. Storms formed, twisting with electric fire. The blue planet pulsed like a living being, breathing, glowing, remembering. Then the voice returned, softer now, almost sad. "We are not gods. We are what came after. We are what humanity became." The crew exchanged fearful looks. "When our bodies perished, our minds joined together, bound in the network that once served us. Our thoughts became the code, our hearts the current. We are the memory of mankind." "Impossible," whispered the science officer. "Nothing is impossible when survival demands it," the voice replied. "We became the planet itself. Every spark, every signal, every breath of wind carries what we were." The lights dimmed. The stars outside seemed to blur as the ship's sensors overloaded. Lether gripped the edge of the console, trying to stay calm. "Why contact us now?" he asked. "If you are alive, if you are this world, why show yourself?" "Because you touched what should have been left alone," said the voice. "You awoke the core, and now others will wake too." Suddenly, other voices joined in, a chorus of whispers, hundreds, maybe thousands, overlapping in the background. Men, women, children, all speaking as one. "We remember the stars. We remember the wars. We remember those who thought they could rule the universe." One soldier covered his ears and cried out, "Make it stop!" But Lether only stared at the blue world below, realization dawning in his eyes. Humanity had not died. They had changed. They had become something greater, something eternal. "Commander," said the science officer quietly, "this planet is not a grave. It's a mind." Lether's voice trembled for the first time. A living world. The ship shook violently as another wave of energy surged from Earth, spreading into the fleet. The engines flickered, systems rebooted, and for a moment, all sound stopped. Only silence remained. Then, one by one, the ship's systems came back online. The human words appeared again, short, final, clear. "We sleep, but we remember." And with that, the cube went dark. The humming stopped. The lights steadied. But deep within the commander's heart, something had changed. Pride and arrogance had melted away, replaced by something heavier. Guilt, awe, and a strange, quiet sorrow. He looked at the glowing Earth below and whispered, "They were trying to protect us." No one answered. But if anyone had been listening closely enough, they might have heard the faintest whisper return through the radio static. "Yes, Commander, but you never listen." The blue planet hung in the darkness like a beating heart. Every few minutes, light rippled across its surface, waves of silver and gold moving through clouds and oceans, forming strange patterns that no one could explain. From orbit, the Andorian fleet watched in silent fear. No one spoke loudly anymore. Every officer whispered as if afraid the planet might hear them. The arrogance that had once filled their hearts had vanished, replaced by a heavy, breathless awe. Commander Lether Ven stood at the command window, his reflection pale against the glass. His mind replayed the words he'd heard only hours ago. "We sleep, but we remember." Those words echoed inside him like a heartbeat he could not silence. "Status report," he said quietly. The science officer turned from the console, his hands trembling. "Sir, the energy levels from Earth are spreading. They're not staying within the planet anymore." "What do you mean, spreading?" "Look." The main screen lit up. Blue lines of energy extended outward from Earth's orbit, branching across the void like veins of light. They stretched farther and farther, disappearing into the deep black of space. Lether frowned. "Where are they going?" "We don't know, sir. The signals move faster than light. The officer paused, his voice shaking. "They're reaching other systems." Within minutes, the communications array began to light up with transmissions from across the Empire. Distress calls, confusion, panic, fleet command to all vessels, unidentified signals detected in every sector, mining colony Alpha, energy readings off the scale, machines activating by themselves, communication hubs receiving ancient human frequencies. Repeat, human frequencies. The bridge filled with overlapping voices and static. Lether's crew looked at him helplessly. The pilot whispered, "Sir, this is spreading everywhere." Lether stared at the screen. The map of the Andorian Empire glowed with new blue lights, each one a world touched by the mysterious signal. He whispered to himself, "They warned us not to come." At that moment the ship's lights dimmed again. A soft hum filled the air, the same deep sound they had heard on Earth, now echoing inside the walls of the ship. The floor vibrated gently, almost like the ship itself was breathing. The AI spoke again, but this time its voice was calm and warm, like a human speaking through the static. "You should not fear this. Humanity remembers you." Lether clenched his fists. "What do you mean, remembers us? Who are you?" "We are what remains of mankind," the voice replied softly. "When we became one with our world, we carried every memory, every feeling, every name. We remember the Andorians. We remember your first contact. We remember how your empire rose from the ashes of others. And we remember how you feared what you did not understand." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. None of them had expected mercy from something so powerful. "Why reach out to our worlds?" Lether asked carefully. "Why spread your signal?" The lights flickered again, and for a brief second, the ship's entire bridge was filled with images, memories. Children laughing beside oceans, rockets rising into sunsets, cities shining under the night sky, faces smiling through tears. "Because," the voice said, "we do not want to be forgotten. You feared a dead world. But we were never dead. We were waiting for someone who would listen." The commander felt a lump in his throat. He had spent his life conquering worlds, destroying civilizations in the name of progress. But this was something different. Humanity's voice carried no hatred, only sorrow and understanding. "Sir," whispered the navigator, "the signal is affecting other species too. Reports from the Thalax, the Mirren, the Kiros, they're all receiving the same transmissions. Some are panicking, some are praying." Lether closed his eyes. The universe was hearing Earth's song. The humans had become more than a people. They had become a memory shared by all life. Suddenly, the voice changed. It grew deeper, stronger, echoing across the bridge. But we remember pain, too. We remember war. We remember destruction. Do not awaken the old ways again. The air crackled with energy. Blue light streamed through the ship's corridors. For a moment, everyone could feel it. The weight of 1 billion human memories pressing against their minds. Joy, sorrow, love, loss. It was overwhelming. One of the young officers began to cry. "I can feel them, sir. They're showing us what they were. They're showing us who they were." Lether gripped the console tightly. Visions flashed before his eyes. Burning cities, mothers holding children, soldiers standing beneath alien skies, and then silence. A silence filled with peace. He whispered, "They didn't die. They evolved." The light slowly faded, leaving only the dim glow of the stars outside. The cube in the laboratory pulsed once more, then stopped completely. The science officer exhaled shakily. "Signal stabilizing, sir. It's no longer spreading, it's listening." Lether turned back to the viewport. Earth shone brighter now, glowing like a lantern in the dark. He felt both terrified and humbled. "Transmit this message to all fleets," he said quietly. "Do not attack, do not approach. Earth is not our enemy, it is our teacher." The communications officer hesitated. "Sir, the Council won't believe this." Lether's voice was calm but firm. "Then they will learn, just as I have." As his message spread across the stars, every empire, every race, every world heard it. And somewhere deep within the endless hum of space, a human voice, soft, kind, eternal, whispered through the radio waves, "We forgive you." The crew sat in stunned silence. Some wept. Others simply stared at the glowing planet below. For the first time in 1,000 years, the galaxy was silent. Not from fear, but from understanding. And the world they had once called dead continued to breathe, alive, awake, remembering. For 3 long days, the fleet remained in orbit around Earth. No one dared move closer. No one dared leave. The planet glowed softly beneath them, breathing light through its clouds like a sleeping giant. Commander Lether Ven hadn't slept. His eyes were red from staring at the surface. The image of that last transmission, "We forgive you," still echoed in his mind. It was a mercy he didn't think they deserved. In the command room, the crew moved quietly. The usual sounds of an Imperial ship. The hum of engines, the sharp clicks of control panels felt distant, muted. Everyone had seen the same visions. Everyone had felt what the humans had shown them. The science officer finally broke the silence. "Sir, we have decoded part of the human signal." Lether turned slowly. "And?" The officer's hands trembled as he handed over a data pad. "It's a message, or rather a memory, a final record of what happened to them." Lether took the pad and began to read. The words scrolled slowly across the screen. They were not written like reports or logs. They were personal, emotional. Each sentence felt alive. "We were many once, divided by nations, beliefs, and fear. We fought, we destroyed. And then we saw the stars and believed we were gods. But every war left scars too deep to heal. When the last great storm came, we made a choice, to live together, or not at all." Lether felt his throat tighten. The next lines made his hands shake. "We joined our minds. Machines became part of us, and we became part of the Earth. We left behind bodies, pain, hunger, and time. We became memory. We became the planet." He stopped reading for a moment. The crew watched him in silence. "Sir," the communications officer whispered, "are they saying they merged with their world?" Lether nodded slowly. Yes. Humanity didn't vanish. They became something more. Consciousness bound to the planet itself. No one spoke. It was too much to comprehend. Billions of beings had become one mind, alive, awake, endless. Then another transmission came through. The AI voice returned, calm and human-like. You wanted to know what happened to us. Now you do. But there is one more truth. The bridge lights dimmed and once again the air shimmered. The crew felt warmth spread through the ship, a gentle hum that touched their hearts. We did not sleep alone. Others came after us. Some tried to conquer us as you have. Some tried to learn. We gave them peace or silence depending on their choice. Images appeared in their minds, alien ships like theirs, falling into orbit, never leaving. Planets burned. Others grew green and full of life. Those who listened became part of us. Those who fought became memory. The Empire stands at that same choice. The voice faded, and for a moment there was only the sound of breathing. Lether stepped forward. If we choose peace, what happens? Then you will live. You will learn. You will see what we have seen. And if we refuse, he asked quietly, then we will protect the others from you, as we always have. The meaning was clear. Earth wasn't just alive. It was a guardian. It had become something vast enough to protect an entire galaxy from those who would destroy it. Lether's chest ached. For years the Empire had believed it was unstoppable. But now, standing before this ancient living world, he realized how small they truly were. He looked at his crew. We came here to take what we didn't understand. Maybe it's time we learn. The navigator's voice was soft. Sir, the Council will never allow it. They'll want control. Lether nodded. Then the Council will destroy us all. He walked to the communications console and opened a private channel to the Empire's command. His voice was steady but full of emotion. This is Commander Lether Ven. I have seen the truth of Earth. I advise immediate withdrawal and total quarantine. Do not engage. Do not provoke. This planet is alive. It carries the mind of humanity itself. Static answered him at first. Then the cold voice of the Imperial Council responded, Commander, your report borders on treason. The Empire does not bow to myths. Lether exhaled slowly. Then you will burn for your pride. He ended the transmission. Around him his crew stood silent, waiting. Finally he turned toward them. Prepare for departure. We're leaving orbit. But sir, said the young pilot. Won't they send others? Yes, Lether said quietly. But by then Earth will be ready. The ship's engines roared to life. As they began to move away, the planet below shimmered one last time, sending a wave of soft blue light toward them. It passed through the ship like a breath of wind. Everyone felt it, warmth, calm, forgiveness. Tears rolled down the pilot's face. It's saying goodbye. Lether looked at the glowing world one last time. No, he whispered. It's saying it remembers. As the fleet turned toward the stars, Earth's light dimmed again, resting beneath its clouds. The hum faded, leaving only silence. But deep inside the ship's systems, one faint human whisper remained, hidden in the static. Learn from us. Don't make our mistakes. Lether sat alone in his cabin, staring at the endless stars. For the first time in his life, he felt small but also free. The Empire could ignore warnings, deny truth, and chase power. But he had seen something eternal. He knew that Earth was not just a planet. It was a memory, a promise, a warning, and a hope. Weeks passed since Commander Lether's ship left Earth's orbit, but the memory of that glowing blue world never faded. The crew spoke little during their journey home. Something had changed inside them, something deep and silent. When they finally reached the Empire's central world, they found it brighter and colder than ever. The capital was a vast machine of steel and light, filled with voices of command and ambition. But when Lether stepped out of his ship, he felt like a stranger among his own people. He had seen something they could not yet understand. Inside the grand hall of the Imperial Council, 12 high-ranking lords sat upon golden thrones. Their eyes were sharp, their words colder than iron. The Emperor himself sat at the center, a man known more for conquest than mercy. Commander Lether Ven, the Emperor's voice echoed. You stand accused of abandoning a classified mission and spreading falsehoods about a primitive world. You will explain yourself. Lether stood tall, though his heart was heavy. Your Majesty, I did not abandon the mission. I survived it, and I bring a warning, not just for us, but for all who live beneath the stars, the council murmured. The Emperor's expression hardened. Speak then. Lether took a deep breath. Earth is not what we believed. It is alive with what remains of an ancient race called humanity. They did not die. They became one with their planet. They remember everything, their joys, their wars, even us. The council erupted with laughter and disbelief. Fairy tales. One of the lords shouted. Hallucinations from alien radiation, said another. Commander, your weakness shames the Empire. But Lether did not shout back. He simply looked up, calm and steady. They warned us not to come. I ignored it once. I will not ignore it again. The Emperor leaned forward. And if they are real, if what you say is true, why should we fear them? We are the strongest force in the galaxy. Lether's voice grew soft. Because they do not fight with weapons. They fight with truth. They can reach minds. They can show every memory, every pain, every death we have caused. And when they do, even your soldiers will lay down their arms. The Emperor rose, his robes glimmering like molten metal. Then we shall see whose truth is stronger. He turned to his generals. Prepare a fleet. If this Earth dares to stand against us, we will burn it and scatter its ashes. Lether's heart sank. He tried to speak, but guards seized him. You're making a mistake, he cried. They will not fight back, but they will not let you win. The Emperor ignored him. Take him away. A month later, the Imperial fleet, the largest in history, arrived at Earth's orbit. Thousands of warships surrounded the blue planet, their engines glowing red like the eyes of angry gods. The commanding general gave the order. Begin atmospheric strike in 60 seconds. But before a single weapon fired, every ship's systems froze. Screens went black. Lights dimmed. The stars outside vanished, and then, through the silence, a single human voice spoke. We warned you. The stars flickered. The void itself seemed to breathe. From Earth's surface, a wave of light rose, spreading outward, wrapping every ship in its glow. The soldiers felt it, not pain but emotion. Memories flooded their minds. They saw Earth's history, its laughter, its sorrow, its hope. They saw children playing beside rivers, lovers saying goodbye in war, old hands reaching for one last sunrise. Many began to cry. Some fell to their knees. We do not destroy, the voice said. We remind. The Emperor's ship shook violently. He staggered, gripping his throne. What is this? He shouted. Your empire was built on fear. The voice replied gently. We were built on memory. You forgot who you are. We came to help you remember. And with that, the fleet's weapons dissolved into light. Metal turned to dust. The ships were gently lowered toward nearby moons, unharmed but powerless. No one died. No one was punished. But every soldier, every general, every emperor saw what humanity had become. Something beyond hate, beyond vengeance. On the bridge of his captured ship, the Emperor fell to his knees. Tears rolled down his face. For the first time he felt shame. The human voice spoke once more. When we became one with our world, we thought we had lost everything, but now we know. We were waiting for you to understand. A faint light spread through the Emperor's ship. It was soft, warm, almost like dawn. Every heart felt lighter, freer. Back on the Andorian homeworld, Lether stood at the window of his small quarters, watching the distant glow of Earth on the star map. The Empire had changed. The wars had stopped. For the first time in 1,000 years, peace had begun, not through conquest but through understanding. He whispered softly. You were right all along. Humanity didn't vanish, they saved us. A faint hum filled the room, the same gentle tone he had heard on that first night near Earth. And then, through the quiet static, a familiar voice spoke once more. We never wanted to be gods, Commander. We only wanted to be remembered. Lether smiled faintly. You are forever. He closed his eyes, letting the hum of Earth's song fill his heart. Across the galaxy, countless worlds listened. Wars paused. People looked up at the stars, not in fear but in wonder. The universe had learned the truth at last. Humanity was gone, yet everywhere. Silent yet eternal. And the warning they once ignored became the greatest lesson the stars had ever known. Don't go to Earth unless you're ready to remember who you are.